Thanks for joining me here on Has Entered the Chat. Before we get started, let me just remind you to subscribe on YouTube and all of our social media channels, so this way you're up to date with the latest episodes, guest announcements, everything like that. There were a couple minor technical issues with some connections and everything during the interview, so there might be a couple spots where it's a little delayed, and there's one or two spots where it cuts off and picks back up, but hope you enjoy the interview anyway. All of Steven's information is down below if you want to follow him on Twitter or Instagram. Stick around for after the interview for some upcoming guests, but otherwise, I hope you enjoy. My first question actually to you is, how pissed are you that you guys were 7-3 and had to go home? You couldn't go to the playoffs when a 4-6. Now I'm not saying like any team's better than another, but a 4-6 team made it. That always happens in sports, but like how did that kind of go through the locker room and stuff like that at the end of the year?
I mean, it was pretty tough. You put in a lot of work throughout the year, practices, meetings, extra meeting time, treatment, rehab. So it's tough to, have a winning record, have a playoff record, and have it come down to, tiebreakers between points for and points against. Like, I mean, it just got very confusing. Like I said, it was a little overwhelming, but we kind of just took it as like, we got to just play it, our cards the way we got to play them, and whatever happens happens, and good. I'm happy for Seattle that they made it, and everything worked out the way it did. And I mean, hey, the 4-6 teams in the championship, so look how that worked out. So I mean, it's honestly just it's a little tough, for us to see that, but like I said, we'll come back next year if I'm on the team, and we'll come back better than ever.
So did you watch the game over the weekend? We're recording this on today Wednesday. So it was just this past weekend. Did you watch, and will you watch the championship?
I actually did. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the Arlington versus Houston game, but I mean, it was a blowout. I mean, I was very honestly pretty shocked that that happened, but I mean, Arlington's been playing really good recently, so and they probably took all the playoff talk that they're 4-6 and they shouldn't be in there. They probably took it as motivation. I would as well if I was on the team. So you know, um, I'm happy for them. Happy that they were able to come out and get a win against Houston. But yeah, I mean, I watched that game. Then the next day, I watched the DC game, and I mean, that was not close the whole game. I mean, it was close for like the first half actually. But yeah, once the second half came, DC scored, and then they scored again, and then it just kept snowballing. I was like, damn. Well, that was very underwhelming. But definitely excited for the championship. The last game DC played with Arlington, or the only game they played with them, it was a very close game, and it was only a couple weeks ago. So I'm excited to see how that game kind of turns out, but we'll see what happens. But yeah.
I mean, you guys have played DC. They only lost one game all year. How good of a team was that you went up against?
Very good, very good. They just have a lot of playmakers on offense. They have obviously a lot of playmakers on defense as well. They have a really good defensive system. They can pressure you, and sometimes they can even drop in coverage and take away your best abilities. So, that's a very well-rounded team. They're very well coached. And yeah, their record proves it. They were 9-1, 10-1. So yeah, they're a very solid team, but I definitely do think they are beatable. We came very close to beating them a couple times. We just let the game kind of slip out of our hands, and a couple of the teams have been very close. Orlando beat them, so there's definitely a way to do it, and anyone could lose any given weekend. So I'm actually very interested to see this championship game and actually watch. I really hope Arlington does keep it close, like they did, when they played DC.
Yeah, and you mentioned, if you're back in St. Louis next year, how does that work year to year? I mean, is it like redrafted every season? Are you kind of up in limbo? Do you have a spot on the team next year if you need it? Like, how does that work usually?
You pretty much just re-sign typically to your team if they want you. Luckily, St. Louis will take me back if I do want, if I'm not in the NFL and I do want to play football again for the XFL. Luckily, Coach Beck and his staff did give me the confidence and said, "Yeah, like we'll take you back. We love you. You're a main part of our team." So that was very helpful, for me to hear. But I would assume if you're a guy that probably gets released or unfortunate situations happens and you just don't make the cut. I would assume there's probably like some sort of free agent line or something of that nature. I would assume where teams can pick up other guys. So, I mean, they did it throughout the season. Whenever a guy was waived, another team would pick him up. So it's not too uncommon.
Okay, and I mean, from what I saw, I know typically you play guard, but did they kind of swing you around to center a little bit too? Is that just because of being on the offensive line? You kind of the more you're like a little Swiss Army knife, the better. Is that kind of the thought process?
Yeah, I mean, during the season, obviously, we kind of kept at our positions, and luckily, we were very healthy, so I didn't have to really switch around often. But if I needed to, I could have stepped in at center. If I was needed to, I could have stepped in at the other guard position, and even if I was needed to, I could have went at tackle. I can honestly play all positions. During training camp, I actually was taking a lot of center reps. Just so I can get some good film out there. Sometimes even on scout team during the season, I would get in there at center, and just try to contribute and try to get some film out there. So, yeah, definitely. I feel like I can play all positions. Obviously, I just played guard all season, but it was just because we were very.
So, also this past weekend was the NFL draft. Did you kind of watch that? Do you follow that year to year, or are you kind of like past that point?
Kind of past it. I mean, obviously, I still keep up, with my Penn State friends and my teammates, former teammates. Happy for them. Congratulations to all of them. But honestly, no, I really don't watch the draft. Not anymore. Ever since mine passed, I just kind of focus, kind of on myself and my career, what opportunities I can get. But the draft is good to kind of see, where certain teams take interior linemen and things like that to see, what's a good situation. So it definitely is good, I guess to like scout options and teams that I would like to obviously go to if they're interested. So.
All right. So yeah, what do you remember from like the draft process when you went through it and everything?
Um, I just remember it was cool at first. Obviously with all the teams talking to me and everything like that. And training for the pro day for the combine. You do the East West Shrine game like I did, or the Senior Bowl, for certain guys. But it's a very cool process at first. But obviously for me, I had a different situation. I was in the COVID class,
Hmm.
and my pro day got canceled, and just a whole bunch of things kind of happened to me, and it just kind of ruined the experience for me. So I know a lot of guys have a great experience with it, but honestly, my experience kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It
That
wasn't the
sucks.
best, but I I made the best with a crappy situation, and I got multiple opportunities, and I didn't even have a pro day, so I was very blessed from that aspect.
Yeah, I mean that year was, and that's kind of the only year they really did that, from what I remember. I mean that was like a really wonky year, just all around. I mean, college football wise, NFL wise, pro
Everything,
days, like
yeah,
you
it was
said.
just hectic.
Um, now I'm trying to remember. Did your senior season? What happened there? Did was there that was that pre pandemic and stuff, or were you dealing with that then too?
Yeah, that was 2019. That was the year we won the Cotton Bowl.
Okay, yeah, so that hadn't kicked in yet. I couldn't remember if it was 2019 or 2020 there. So, yeah, I mean, Penn State wise,
Yeah.
like, do you still go to campus at all? Do you keep in touch with anybody from campus, any of the coaches or anything like that?
I keep in touch with some of my former coaches here and there. I'll talk to Coach Franklin every now and then. Whenever he sees something good, or if we win a game, he'll congratulate me or anything like that. But yeah, we'll keep in touch. Often, sometimes, not often, but sometimes. I haven't been back to campus in a little bit though, just because I've just been busy and just been kind of bouncing around everywhere. So I really haven't had time to go back. Um,
Hmm.
I definitely would like to take a trip sometime this summer, or maybe even during the season if I am free and and I'm able to go. I definitely would like to catch a game, but like I said, I just kind of gotta see what happens. See if an NFL team calls me. See kind of how those chips fall. So there's kind of a lot of things that are just in question right now. But definitely, if I do have an opportunity, I will for sure love to go to a game. The last time I did see them was actually I asked Coach Franklin if he can get me Rutgers tickets at the at Rutgers when they played them this year. So I actually did go to
Hmm.
that game, but it wasn't at Penn State. It was at Rutgers. But I was able to sit. I did see his daughter. I did see him. I said hi to them. I saw a couple of the players. So yeah, that was a cool time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, what I was gonna say is, don't take this the wrong way, but I hope you can't make it to to a game this year, because then that means, hopefully, you're on an NFL roster or something like that.
No, definitely. I wanted to say that as well, but just kind of I wanted to try to keep it a little humble. But God willing, yeah, I do make an NFL team, and God willing, I don't go to a Penn State game, but we'll see what
Right.
happens.
Yeah, I'll say it for you. That's all right. Have you kind of been in touch with any NFL teams to this point? I know you're had a spot on the Bills at one point. Do you keep in touch with them or anybody else?
Haven't kept in touch with the teams that I've been with. I was with the Jets right before I signed with the XFL. I was with the Jets for their rookie mini camp in 2021. But other than that, no, I really haven't heard anyone from the NFL. Like I said, it's just been hard because I don't really have film out there that's recent. I didn't have really a pro day, so I just kind of had a lot of things against me. But finally, I was able to play, like I said, in the XFL, and the XFL gave me an opportunity through film and through being able to play that I'm able to kind of show my abilities out to these teams, and a lot of these teams are watching these games. And I have garnered a little interest, luckily. So like I said, just gotta see where the chips fall. And just handle my business. But yeah, no, I mean it's very exciting, and like I said, the league definitely allowed me, to get to this point. So I got to be very thankful to the XFL and to the Battlehawks and Coach Beck and all them for bringing me on and allowing me to show my abilities.
Yeah, and like you said, tape's always good to have, especially with the NFL. I mean, the NFL is always there's always stories, of people coming in from the NFL. I know, I'm personally a fan of the Eagles. They have their starting left tackle is from Australian rugby and was like a seventh round draft pick project that is now a starting left tackle. I mean, there's always things. There's, Canadian Football League people who come in, who come in back when they had the European Football League. You'd have people, Kurt Warner was, as a Hall of Famer, and he
Yeah.
came from, one of those leagues. So, what I guess, hearing those stories and everything like that, what does that mean to you? And does that kind of help motivate you a little bit?
I just think, like I said, it just gives you a platform to show your abilities if you feel like you haven't really been seen. Like I said, I've been kind of trying to get opportunities, and I don't really have film. My most recent film was in 2019 when I played with Penn State. Like I never saved any. I wasn't really smart when I was in my first couple of years, so I never really saved film from practices or anything like that. But now I saved all my XFL film, all my practices. Like I'm making sure that I'm on top of it because it is important. And like I said, a league like this just gives you an opportunity. It gives you a platform. You're on ESPN. You're on ABC. You're on big networks. You have big time sponsorships. Like everyone's watching this. There's millions of viewers that are watching this. So obviously, every NFL team is going to have an eye on this, and obviously going to look at not every game, but they're going to definitely look at every team once or twice. So I definitely, like I said, I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of these leagues. Um, And football's been kind of lacking it for a little bit, but finally now we're gaining a little bit more momentum now with the XFL coming back. I just think it's very good for football in general.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, you have the USFL too. I mean, just anytime you can, especially given somebody in your situation with the pandemic and everything, and just really not having I know you might not say this, or other people in your draft class might not say this, but really not a super fair shot. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's other instances where the same thing happened outside the pandemic. So I agree. I mean, I think not only for everybody in America who just can't get enough football. It's good to give those players an extra shot. And I remember um, back in the first iteration of the XFL, I think it was running back by the name of Rod Smart. He had "He Hate Me" on the back of his jersey. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that at all. This is like a while ago, but he ended up going into the NFL for a little bit, and like that kind of stuff is really cool to see.
No, yeah, definitely. And like, I mean, there's even guys now that are starting to just get opportunities, just tryouts and things like that. Like that's just very just crucial, like that's crucial for a lot of guys, especially like I said, that just haven't had that opportunity. So like a couple of my teammates have got opportunities. Actually one of my offensive linemen just got an invite to the Bills rookie mini camp. Like it's just a rookie minicamp invite, but like you never know where that can take you. Like what if a guy gets hurt and then they really need you and they see something that they really like and they keep you. So it's just about getting yourself out there, especially if this is what you say you love as a player. Like it's and obviously it's what I love. So like I said, I just think it's super important for guys that really didn't get a fair shot, and it doesn't even have to be COVID guys. It could be any draft class. A guy that probably just got hurt during pro day or during the combine and just didn't get a fair chance. So I think this league provides that for them.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, like even just getting an invite like that, they're seeing you. If they see something they like, even if they don't sign you right off the bat, something happens down the road. That familiarity in the NFL is so important. Knowing who you're bringing in, especially if it's in the middle of the season or a couple games in, you don't have time to get people kind of up to speed. That
Yep.
familiarity is huge. So, like you said, like any little thing like that is just like super helpful.
No, yeah, most definitely.
So, how I'm curious, like kind of a little bit of self scouting. How do you think you fared and performed in your first year in the XFL? And do you think you put out some good tape for teams to see?
I definitely think so. I try not to be like cocky, but just more confident in my ability. But I do feel like
Hmm.
I am one of the best guards in the XFL this year. I do feel like I am one of those guys in the top five. And I think my tape and my film can prove that. And I hope NFL teams see that as well. But I do feel like I was a consistent contributor. I played in every game. Never really missed snaps unless I was rotating in. Through coaches' rotation. So I was always just reliable. I was always there. And I was doing my job to the highest ability. I mean, I know for sure in pass protection, I was holding things down in the run game, opening up holes. So, I mean, like I said, the film is out there. It's just for the teams to see, and hopefully, the teams can kind of realize that I made the most of this opportunity. I've even had a lot of my friends in the league on other teams tell me like, I definitely looked really good on film. I made the most of this opportunity. They told me so. It's very humbling and very, good to hear that, that my hard work is paying off and that, finally I can show my talent to people because, I feel like I feel like I do belong in the NFL. I do feel like I deserve a shot
Hmm.
at least. But, like I said, just, things work out, it's all about getting a lucky chance and a lucky break sometimes. And, I'm hoping that the XFL kind of opened that door for me, so yeah, I'm just kind of just taking it a day at a time though right now
Totally.
at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the stuff you put out on Instagram, and I mean, it from what I've seen, it looks good, and like some good hits, some definitely open holes like you said for running backs to go through. How do you and I'm curious because everybody's a little bit wired differently. So in the fact of getting angry enough to hit, not maybe not even angry, but getting to the part where you're like, I'm just gonna hit this guy as hard as I can, no matter what. Like I mean, growing up, like I played tackle when I was younger, and like I just never wanted to be hit or get hit. So I was always like a running back or a cornerback, like trying to avoid contact and just make plays. Like, how do you get in that mindset of like, look, I'm looking for contact, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, for me, I'm always nervous before the first hit just because I just want to get the first hit out of the way. Once I get the first hit out of the way, I feel pretty comfortable. Honestly, my mindset's more just doing my job and, trying to be the best player for the team and the best, player for myself and, trying to be the best player out there on the field. So I just try to honestly just I don't know. I don't really like get in a like aggro mindset. I'm more laser focused, more like business like trying to do my job. And that's kind of how like my game is, how I
Mm,
approach my game, and you could see that on the film. Like I just approach it very technique wise, like I may not be the best finisher as I used to be, but I definitely will give you the best technique. I'll create the best angles, and I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, like I don't really have a mindset to it. I just like I said, I do get nervous before the first hit, but once I take that first hit, man, I settle right in, and I'm ready to just lock in, laser focus and ready to go and just do my job. You know, um, but yeah, and obviously, I always think about just giving good
yeah.
effort every play. Like I never want to get called out on film for bad effort. Like that's just you just kind of decide that. So I guess part of that is probably where the aggressiveness and the
Yeah.
aggro-ness comes from. Especially when you're going to attack and hit someone. Plus, I'm also used to hitting people every play. So like when you're a running back, when you're a wide receiver, like
Right.
maybe you get a while, you don't really, especially like a big hit like that. Like me, I'm getting a big hit pretty much every single play. So like I'm used to it already. So like I said, once I get
Yeah.
that first hit,
Right.
no, I feel ready to go.
Totally. Cool. Yeah. And I mean, like, was there anything, um, you've played college ball, obviously, and everything like that. And the XFL, I know, has a couple different rules than some of us are used to seeing. Was there any rule that maybe kind of either was different that you liked, or even the other way was different that you're like, no, I don't like this?
Um, the only thing I didn't like was just the lack of, I guess, targeting calls in the XFL. I mean, I don't know. I felt the refs were very lenient
Okay.
with things like that. A lot of people were taking big hits, and I don't know. That just kind of didn't make me feel very comfortable, with the officiating in that sense. And I just felt like the,
Hmm.
the the officiating was very
Sure.
inconsistent at times. Like some refs were very good, but then you could tell some refs were like inexperienced or like not as good. And if you see the crew, then you're like, oh well, shit. Nah, here's these guys. They're gonna be inconsistent today, or you know what I mean. So it's it was a little bit of
Yeah.
both, and but the good things I did like about the league, rule wise, I really loved the 4th and 15. It worked out for us in the first game, and that's how we won. I really think that's a cool rule. So the 4th and 15 is under 2 minutes. If you score a touchdown, and you're down by I guess more than seven, you can go for it on 4th and 15 instead of kicking an onside kick, or you can kick an onside kick, either or. I think that's a very cool rule, and I think if the NFL does implement something like that, I mean we'll see a lot more high scoring games because I feel like any offense can complete a 4th and 15, but like I said, it just makes the game more exciting. I also like the extra point rule
Totally.
where you don't kick a field goal for an extra point. You actually go for a 1 point, a 2 point, a 3 point. I really like that. I just feel like it just keeps the flow of the game going a lot faster. I don't know. I really am a fan of that. Um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's really the only ones that affected me personally. Um, the kickoff rules and things like that. The special team rules don't have no effect on me really because I'm only on field goal.
Right.
But but yeah, I definitely am a big fan of the 21 and the 4th and 15 for sure. I'm a huge fan of those, and I hope the NFL will think about something like that one day.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I like that because I mean that the onside kick, not only is it super difficult, it's climactic. It's not super entertaining most of the time. There's a couple times where it's actually like kind of cool to watch. But what's kind of funny is and I maybe that has something to do with this. I don't know, but my son's flag football league, which is like 14 and under, he's on 8U, but like they actually this year for the first time, and you have a timeout, you can do just get a first and like it's like 20 yards for them because it's a smaller field, but it's legit
Yeah.
on a small field for flag football. It's kind which is an NFL youth league, so maybe I don't know, maybe they're testing it out on the young ones and they'll implement it in the league. That'd be cool.
That was the point. That was the point of the XFL is because the NFL's using it to kind of test out rules that they want us kind of maybe think about putting in. So, like I said, like you said and like I said, they're trying different things. So let's see, maybe they add something like that. But I just feel like, yeah, like you said, like the onside kicks are just very anticlimactic. Like typically, like obviously you're gonna see typically the receiving team gets it. Like it's just, like once in a while you'll see the kicking team get it. Like it's just very boring. The 4th and 15 very unpredictable. You have a very good offense, they can get a 4th and 15, but you never know. Defense can make the stop or vice versa. So it's just like I said, I think that would be a very cool rule that they add in if they do decide to add it in.
Yeah, if I can't get an onside kick in Madden, then it needs to change. Madden, so
No,
it's too difficult.
the onside kicks on Madden are impossible.
They really are, really are. Well, before I let you go, I mean, now that you have a little bit of downtime, hopefully not too long. Hopefully, you'll get invited to another camp. But now you have a little bit of downtime. Like, what do you typically like to do in your off season, essentially?
Honestly, right now, this is really my first quote unquote off season. You know,
Yeah.
but I'm just gonna enjoy it with my family. I've been away for them for 4 months. Enjoy it with my dog. I've been away from him for 4 months. Enjoy with my girlfriend, my loved ones. Just the people that I hold very close. Just try to spend some quality time with them. Happy to be back home too. So probably go to the beach with my girlfriend. Our friends, things like that. Just try to enjoy ourselves a little bit. Probably even go on a little vacation to Florida with her. So yeah, I mean it'll be a very good time. Just spending it with everyone. But yeah, that's kind of just my plans, honestly. Just keep it very calm. Nothing too out of this world. But yeah, so hopefully though, hopefully I'm on an NFL team and not having an off season. Hopefully I'm, still playing football and doing something. But like I said, I'm just taking it a day at a time, and where the chips fall, they fall. But like I said, yeah, just control what I can control.
Two quick follow-ups. One, what kind of dog? And two, what like beach do you guys usually like?
So so me and my girlfriend, we have two cats, and then I have obviously, I got my dog during college, but he's a German Shepherd. His name is Thor.
Oh,
And
nice.
then the
That's a
beaches
good
that me and her like to
name.
go to are typically Labin.
I said that's a good name. That's a solid name, especially for a German Shepherd. Thor, like it's
Oh,
nailed it.
thank you. I appreciate that. And he's huge too. He's like 110. So like people are like, yeah, the name fits him. The name fits him really well. I need to get him a little like Thor cape and a little hat and hammer and
Damn.
stuff, for Halloween when Halloween's. But it's pretty hard to find an extra large Thor costume, so we'll see. But yeah, and then the
Yeah.
beaches we kind of like going to down here. Mainly Belmar is our main beach. I just like I'm always been a big Belmar fan. But sometimes I like to go to Long Branch. Sometimes I like to go to forgot the other one. It's where the Tiki Bar is at. I forgot what it's called. It might be Long Branch. One of the two. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's Long Branch though. I don't remember exactly, but
well, Jersey has beaches aplenty, so.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
Thanks again to Steven for joining me. Links below again for him on social media. Thank you for being a little patient with some of the technical difficulties. Hopefully you still enjoyed the interview. Make sure you check out our channel for other interviews and upcoming interviews. The next one will be with longtime Flyers broadcaster Jim Jackson, so keep an eye out for that. There's a few others that I am working on. So make sure you subscribe everywhere and go to our social media pages and follow those, because that is where teases and announcements and links and everything like that will be posted. Thanks again to Steven for joining me. Thank you for coming by to check it out. Hope to see you on the next one.